Okay, we left off here. We're in the Ramah, page 304. We're speaking about how to establish a person in terms of identifying with an open city, a walled city, and it's not relevant where you live necessarily. It's what you had in mind when you left. We spent the past 2-3 days on this. Now the Ramah says, Bamidbar, Obasvina. Right? What about a person is in the desert or on a boat? So it's no less than an open city. Right? And you plan to be on the boat on Purim, or you plan to be in the desert on Purim. So what are you going to read? Right? So you have no relevance to walled city. He says, Kori biyom yudal rov olam. You read on the 14th, because the majority. I don't know what he needs that. What does he need? Because you read on. Factually, you're not in your city. Because, right? No, so I think what he's. No. No. Today they could create that sense. No, yeah. If you go to Disney World, they think you're in the walled city. You know, even in Shushan. This is the idea. We spoke about leaving Yerushalayim to go to Tel Aviv, and you're in Tel Aviv, let's say on the 14th. Okay. So there, your mind was to identify with a city. Tel Aviv is a city. What is its status? 14th. What about if you leave Yerushalayim to go into a desert? A desert has no identity. Wait a second. No, that's the question. It's not a civilization there. Or go on a boat. Going out into the ocean. So maybe you should retain your identity. On that he says that since the majority of the world reads on the 14th, therefore the desert and the boat identifies with the world. That's the Ramah. I understand, but you may think to establish a new identity, you have to identify with a city, an open city. So when you go into a desert or a boat, it's not a city, it's not a location, it's just a wasteland. That he says doesn't make a difference. Leaving to go elsewhere, you identify with the world. What's the world? The majority of the world reads on the 14th. And he plans to be on. They're going to Tel Aviv. That's like going to Tel Aviv. Right, that's exactly. Bamidbar. Afilum bnei krochim. Right? Even if he's a member of what? Of a walled city, he reads it on the 14th. Okay? That's exactly what we're saying. This has relevance. The people I know in the past, they've gone on a cruise. In Purim, they found themselves on a cruise. It didn't make a difference because they left in the United States. But if you'd leave from Yerushalayim or wherever it was, a walled city, he reads it on the 14th. It's simple. It's like being in the United States. Vav. Yom Tezvav Shchalios B'Shabbos. Which happens. We have Purim Friday. Yerushalayim, Purim is what? Shabbos, right? The 14th is Friday. The 15th is Shabbos. Ein Korem Megillah B'Shabbos L'Magdim L'Kros Be'erev Shabbos. It's Mishnah. So when do they read it? They read it on Friday. The walled city and the open city read it on the same day, Friday. V'govim mos matnas aniyim mechalkim mosa bo b'yom. And when did they distribute matos levyonim? You distribute it on Friday. You can't distribute it on Shabbos. Ubiyom Shabbos. Now, when do you say Al Nisim? Right, Al Nisim, they say it on Shabbos. Because Purim is Shabbos. And Sudas, for them, the Gemara says, why is Matonis Levyonim? Why does that identify with Mikra Megillah? Because the Aniyim, they wait after the Megillah to receive their Matonis Levyonim. So therefore it goes together. But what about the celebration of the day? The celebration of the day is the day. So when do you celebrate? The 15th, when it comes on a Shabbos, they don't have the suit on Friday. Yeah? The open cities, if Purim is the Friday, everything's Friday. Shalach Monis Lureu, everything. However, the Suda is also the 15th people, the walled city, read it on the Friday, on the 14th. Sudas Purim is Shabbos, but we'll see in a moment. It's a little bit of a problem. There's a famous Yerushalmi, but you understand we have a festive meal or a very special meal because it's Shabbos. So really, one Shalosh Sudas. I mean, you have the regular meal, so it's not appreciated as a Purim Suda. So therefore, it's called Purim Mishulash. So they have a meal on Sunday. They have a festive meal on Sunday, even though Sunday is beyond the 15th. It's the 16th already, right? But that's what happens. We'll see in a moment. No, you're asking on Yerushalayim, or you're asking on the regular cities? You're not accomplishing anything. What are you accomplishing? We're telling you're not even Yotze eating the meal on Shabbos. No, just the opposite. There's nothing wrong with having the suit on Shabbos. If you bring it in early, if you're Makabel Shabbos, since it's Shabbos, you're on Makabel Shabbos, it's the 14th. It's not the 15th. They're supposed to eat the suit on the 15th, right? So what are you going to bring in the Shabbos early? You bring the show. What happens if you bring it in early? When do you bring in something early? When? If you can't fast on a certain day, you fast earlier. Why? Because that day you can't fast. Here you could celebrate. You could have the meal on Shabbos. That's something real. That's because since Tisha B'Av represents a tragedy, we delay a tragedy. That's why therefore we fast on Sunday, on the 10th. Right. Except Titus Esther. Titus Esther is not a tragedy, right? Okay. So let's see it in a moment. Umotziin ubiyom motzi shnei svorim. Yeah, definitely. Ubiyom Shabbos motziin shnei svorim. Yerushalayim, they take out 2 Sifrei Torah. Ubesheni korid vayova amolek. V'omrim ala nisim, say ala nisim on the 15th. On the 14th, they're reading the Megillah. They do not say ala nisim, although they're reading the Megillah on the 14th. Vein osim suras Purim ad yom echad b'Shabbos. And when do you have the festive meal? On Sunday. This is the 16th. Even though 16th is not Purim in anybody's book. It's not the 16th. Anybody's calendar, the 16th is not Purim. Nevertheless, we'll see. It's based on the Yerushalmi. Wait a second. Good question. But bringing it in early is not going to help you any. Because again, as I told you, but factually it's not your Purim. It's not your Purim. Good question. It's a good question. But because they have to retain, see, what's his name? Yerushalayim has to retain its uniqueness, its identity. Doing everything on Friday, that means, so that this year we don't commemorate the walled city. Saturday we commemorate the walled city. See, you're right, the 16th is no different than the 14th. But the 14th is everyone. But we have to identify them as being different, because they're commemorating the walled city. Saturday we commemorate the walled city. Yeah, Al-Nizam is not enough. We're talking about through an action. No, but we see not this, because we see that we do read it on the 15th. We do read it on the 15th, but the majority of the world's reading on the 14th. The answer is, but we still have to commemorate the miracle of Shushan. They had the extra day of battle, and they celebrated a day later. So how do we commemorate it? It's a different concept of pursuing Nisa.
So why do we say Al-Nisim on Shabbos and not on Sunday?
Because we're able to say Al-Nisim on Shabbos. We're able. Why shouldn't you say Al-Nisim? If actually the 15th is Purim in Yerushalayim, so that's why we say Al-Nisim. You're not permitted to read. You're not permitted. You may transport the Megillah. Okay, let's see Mishna Berura. No. We are concerned. On Friday. They say Al Nisim. No, it's Shabbos. They say Al Nisim. The insertion. Correct. No halal. David doesn't go to the Yom Tov. Okay. What? Benching too? Al Nisim. Benching. Exactly. Okay. It's only the one who has the Ezra's Torah Luach. He knows that. Okay. Let's see the Mishna Berura. B'yom Tezvav. De'ilu Yudalit Yev Shalochul B'Shabbos. Yeah, why don't we discuss the 14th? If the 14th comes out on Shabbos, because according to the calendar, the 14th, our calendar, the 14th cannot come out on Shabbos. Right, so we're going to have to talk about the 14th being, it's only the 15th. And Korean, the Gozer Rabban Hashem Yelech Etzel Chochem Lelamdo, Ech Lekroso. Right, he may be pressured, and he takes the Megillah to a Chochem, teach him how to read it. He Yavrend Abraham Shusha Rabin, transfer to public domain. HaMegillah b'Shabbos, was Yom Shabbos, Ches La'ador, U'Parsha Zocher, U'Maftirin, Pokartiv Gam Tesvav La'ad, U'Maftirin, Pokartiv B'Krochim, Abayoris Maftirim Seder Shuav, Sholim Dorshin, Bo B'Yom, Hilches Purim, Yizkru in Yom Chol Chol, Yotzi, okay. V'Omer B'Al Anisim, Yud Zayin, B'Shabbos, V'Lo Be'erev Shabbos. Friday, they don't say Al Anisim. Shebemes L'Krochim Zmanim B'Tezvav, because when's Purim? Purim's the 15th, it's not the 14th. Rak Mishum Gzeira Canal, it's only because there's a Gzeira, you may transport the Megillah, we have no choice, therefore we read it on the 14th. It's Shich Likros Megillah of Shabbos, Umkol Mokum Yom Omer Ein Machzir Noso. If actually, if a person said Al Anisim, you were a 15th person, and he said Al Anisim on Fridays, it should be a hefsek, right? The answer is it's not a hefsek. Good. As he said, we said even if the wall no longer stands, that's number one. Secondly, the Gemara says, and that's where you have to study Erevin, but everybody's an expert. I carry in Manhattan because there's an Erev, because they're all experts in the Erev, right? So the Gemara explains in Erevin that a city that's a true public domain, even if you have a wall, doesn't help you. Because we say the public that goes through the walls, they destroy the walls. The walls cannot contain a true public presence, unless they close the doors within 24 hours. If the gates of the city are closed within 24 hours every single day, that's contained. That means the public is not walking through the walls. They're not going through the entranceways.
Why every single day and not just on Shabbos or not?
Because that's why you have to learn Erevin. Okay, so that's the reason why. Yerushalayim was considered. It doesn't be every day. As long as, if it is normally a public domain and people go through, that's enough. That the whole discussion with Manhattan is, you have the bridges. The bridges coming in, even if it's an island, why is the island, and this is Rav Moshe's psak, Rav Henkin's psak, Rav Aaron Kotler's psak, all Zed Rocha, that's why Manhattan cannot have an Erev. Because the bridges, what is an island? An island has walls, the banks of the island. So there's a concept known as Gur Asik. We have imaginary walls. If you have a wall below, the wall extends itself upward. What about if you have, just as if you'd have real walls, and you have an entranceway going through walls, and you have public going through those walls, halachically, they demolish the walls. It's as if the walls don't exist. So you need the walls to contain the island. So that means the walls have to come above the surface. They rise from the side, under the water, they keep going up. That contains the island. But what about, but if you have the cars coming into the borough, into Manhattan, those walls are being destroyed by this public thoroughfare. We're talking about 600,000. You understand? What's a doorway have to do with this? You could have a doorway, you could have a solid wall. If there's an entrance going through that and you have a public going through it, the wall doesn't exist. It cannot contain the public. Unless factually they're contained there because the gates are shut. I don't know how to do it. Don't know how they do it. Harvard has a special department on it. Which papers? No Gadol B'Yisrael, no person who's a true posek endorses or authorizes that Erev. No one. Yes, that's what it's based upon. That's what it's. The whole line. That's said. There's a whole discussion now up on the Upper West Side. They cut off pieces where they secluded it, and they made something that it should be self-contained. I don't know. I'm not sure how exactly that works. With an Erev something. They did something to contain a small number of blocks, right? But here we're talking about the whole island. You have this flow, I mean, enormous flow of people coming in continuously. It's a question. It's a question. But 600,000 for sure. Nobody. There's a question. If it's less than 600,000, is that? But it's a public. Does that actually destroy the walls? Or it's a Carmelis. There's a question whether it's a Carmelis or it's a Rosh Hashanah. If it's less than 600,000. But there's no toll gates. The bridges don't have toll gates. The Manhattan Bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge, the Williamsburg Bridge, you have all these bridges. And now that you have Easy Pass, for sure not. Right? They just come straight in. And what about if you have the toll gate on the other side? Right? So again, you don't have it.
And that's why Governor Christie contributes to the validity of the airways when he closes Washington Bridge.
As they say, no, even the joke's not a good joke. Because the backup was in Jersey, not coming into New York. Okay, let's see the Chosel of Avos.
In theory, there could be a narrative on both sides.
Wow. Yeah, it's not. Who said there's an Erev there on Fifth Avenue? Who said there's an Erev on Fifth Avenue? Don't know. Doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. It means nothing. Through that? Wouldn't be good. Wouldn't be. There's the whole argument in Brooklyn, Ocean Parkway, with, the Hasidim, they say you could have an Erev in Borough Park. I'm not sure about Flatbush. There are not that many. But in Borough Park, you could have an Erev. There was all kinds of serious fighting over this. No.